Welcome to the Impact on the Ground podcast series. I'm Tiia Sammalahti, CEO of whatimpact.com. In this podcast series, we'll dig deeper into what it takes to make an impactful change in our society. I'll give a voice to charities, social enterprises, companies, grant makers, individuals, and government officials who all have one thing in common. They are keen to make a difference. We dive into practical solutions and observe the dynamics of those who have resources to give and those working with the beneficiaries on the ground. Let's start making an impact together. Today, we have a special guest, Amy Howarth from the Garden Classroom. And we are going to be discussing about climate change, but also how children can be involved to tackle this dilemma what we have in global level, but also in local level. Welcome, Amy. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you very much for having me. Hello, I'm Amy, Amy Howarth. I'm from the Garden Classroom. I'm the current CEO, and I've been involved with the charity for about 13 years now. We're a 15-year-old charity. We turned 15 last year. So we feel that we've really had a journey of kind of working out exactly our position in the areas that we want to be working in, and feel that we have tons to offer. So we're really excited to tell you a bit more about the Garden Classroom today.
Yeah, so where did it all start? And maybe you first explain kind of what you actually do, like in a nutshell, but then also why did you set up this charity?
Okay, great. So in 2008, a community garden was set up in Islington in North London, and Islington in North London has the least amount of green space per person, and that's the reason why we started in Islington, and it's the reason why we remain there. Our broadest aim is to connect people to nature, and we do that through working with schools, with families, with adults, and with older adults as well, through a huge variety of programs and sessions that give them opportunities to come and be in nature, to experience the seasons, to experience how to grow things, and really get that kind of sensory experience and the joy of being in nature. We really believe that people won't have an interest in protecting things that they don't have an understanding of. And so we feel that it's our job to provide opportunities where people can come, connect, be in nature. And we know that that has huge well-being and health benefits all round. But what we really want to do is for people to feel engaged, feel part of nature, feel passionate about it, so that they will go on to be the guardians of it in the future. So whilst we're addressing issues such as climate change, actually our work is all about engagement, it's all about joy, and in having fun in nature and finding the awe and the wonder in it. And I think that's where we differ from other charities that are doing similar sorts of work. It's really about experiences for people. So we started in 2008, and we started in one community garden, and we went knocking on the door of the local primary school, and we said, we've got this amazing garden that's just been created for the community. Do you fancy coming and doing some learning? And the very brave head at that time said, oh yeah, sure, well, we'll come, we'll give it a go. Could you make it about science? Because we kind of need to teach science in school, and we want to make it exciting for the children. And so we created a bespoke session, which was all about what's living in a garden. And from that moment on, we just knew, okay, this is exciting, because of course the children were really thrilled to be in that outdoor environment. And we worked out how to teach in a way that was very hands-on, no worksheets, no writing, but all about the experience and using all the senses. And from that moment, we've really built our programs mostly based on demand and curiosity from the people that we're working with. So often that's been children, when they've been at the garden, kind of saying, oh, I'm really interested in bees. And we thought, okay, well, we'll make a bee education program, and we'll hire a beekeeper, and we'll get you into bee suits and take you into an apiary where you can meet the bees, And when we've had children in countryside days, they've said, oh, we love it here, we just want to stay, can we stay overnight, can we stay overnight? And so we developed residential camping programs. And so really it's been based on the experiences that we've had with people, and it's grown organically over the years. And last year we delivered over 1,600 half-day experiences to over 10,000 unique people. So we've really grown from that first moment in 2008 with that one class up into something that's really, really quite special and quite unique, I think.
Well, that's just fantastic. And I guess that, especially children who live in cities are not so familiar with nature and they don't have access. As you said, it's not only necessarily the lack of kind of parks and gardens. Sometimes it's also lack of maybe carers who don't have ability to take them to those places and see the places and experience, and people are just like not so familiar getting their hands dirty in the forest or in a garden, and that's why it's so exciting when they eventually get to those places and learn more, and I guess just learning to deal with living creatures as well in the gardens, that people are not scared of spiders and bugs, I guess, that they get used to them and seeing that that's just a part of nature.
Absolutely, and there's an emerging term which is has been coined nature deficit disorder. And and a lot of kind of researchers at university and so on are kind of taking this idea and thinking, okay, well, how do we quantify meaningful nature connection experiences which can address nature deficit disorder? And for me, sort of anecdotally, you see it around, don't you, the kind of narrowing of children's lives and quite screen-based existences often, for all sorts of reasons. The world has become a very complicated place, and I think our activities are, I suppose, the antidote to that kind of narrowing of children's lives, and really trying to open their eyes, give them opportunity to open their eyes and kind of look up and look around them and feel deeply connected to the places where they live. That's hugely important for well-being, is for a person to feel as though they have a genuine connection to place. And nature is a brilliant tool for providing that sense of belonging, sense of community, and it has a really deep impact on the children and also the adults that we're working with.
Yeah, I truly believe you, because I've seen the stories of your organization, and we are of course so happy that you are on whatimpact.com and connecting with corporate partners who are then funding you and also be a part of your journey. So tell us about that. You operate mainly in London, but elsewhere as well.
Yeah, to give a little overview of that, we're very Islington focused. We started life there. There's still a great need. Doesn't seem to matter how many programs we run, there's still need there. We've expanded into Hackney, a little bit in Camden as well, but we're very North London focused in that way. But we run a couple of programs each year, which is part of our countryside strand, where we take children to the South Downs and also to the Kent countryside for those really rich, really immersive nature experiences. And that involves camping in beautiful bell tents, in beautiful fields, being able to walk in the bluebell woods on their way to their camping experience, cooking on an open fire, eating together, cooking together. And so we have strong connections with Kent and with the South Downs. And last year we piloted something called Beach School, which is a sort of variation on Forest School, which we've been delivering for many, many years. Beach School, as you can imagine, is about taking classes to the beach and learning about the nature that's there. And Blue Nature has this incredible impact. Some people say even more so than green nature, forest, for example. So we've run pilot projects of Beach School in Hastings, and that went really, really well. We did it in some of the coldest months, but actually it was, really thrilling to see the children experiencing all the things that they found there on the beach. And so really we have the potential to geographically respond to where there is need. I think it's always our aim to be working with the most deprived groups and certainly the most nature deprived groups, because For example, somewhere like Hastings, even though there is all this beautiful coastline, we know that children aren't necessarily having the opportunity to access that nature and for that to be part of their lives. So really, we're happy to kind of go where there's need, but we'll always have that really strong connection to Islington and to London.
Yes, so if a corporate wants to make a mark and support your work and give access to children from deprived backgrounds to kind of partake in these programs and give them experiences, how would they go about it, and what kind of like a so-called partnership packages you have?
Well, a huge variety. I mean, we are crucially looking for support for ongoing work, multi-year work, because we have some really successful models, for example, of running urban forest school sessions with the same group of children week in, week out. It has huge impact on those children and on the teachers that are looking after those children every day. But in order for us to continue that kind of work, we do need a lot of financial support. You know, huge subsidy needs to go to the schools in order for them to take part in that. So for us, what is truly valuable and impactful is longer term multi-year funds where we can choose a program that works with the most deprived children in those nature deprived areas and really give them some transformative experiences which are ongoing and really meaningful, so that the outcomes, the impact is felt so much more. We can also do things like corporate days where people come and help improve the biodiversity of the spaces that we're then bringing the children to. We've done lovely days where people create, for example, log circles and pathways, plant wildflowers, that kind of thing, so that we're wilding spaces or making them better places for us to bring those groups to. So there are education programs, there are more immersive programs, there are kind of days where corporates can bring their own people out for days in nature, which also benefit our programs. So really, I would say a wide variety of things that we need support with that will have a really deep impact. And the best place, I think, to do that initially is to come through the whatimpact.com platform to be able to speak to us about things that you're interested in, and we can think about how our programs can match up with what you're looking to support. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Definitely. Sounds good. So there are a variety of options. How do you monitor your impact? How do you interview your, beneficiaries, and how do you monitor the impact on the nature?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, of course, are always evaluating our work. And in fact, a couple of years ago, we ran a long-term, year-long study of our urban forest school program. And that was to find out the impact of children's well-being. And so we divided that up into categories such as kind of happiness and behavior and relationships. And we did a really big in-depth study on that. And so that included gaining feedback from parents, from the children themselves, from their class teachers and their support workers as well, and kind of wrapping that all up into quantitative and qualitative data. And out of that, we created an entire piece of storytelling, I suppose it is really, which explains the impact on children's well-being. So we've run in the past bigger projects like that, but for every project, we're always gathering feedback from the parents that are attending with their children, or from the class teachers, or from the volunteers that support us as well, and really finding out and drawing out from that often case studies of particular individual children who've gone on a particular journey. And that for us is very powerful, because for example, we'll often have children who start with us really nervous of the outside, and they feel quite disengaged, or they have difficulty working with their peers in those spaces. And then over time, as they become more relaxed, more familiar, and they start to build that connection with the environment, with their peers, with us when we're leading them, and we'll often notice little golden kind of glimmers of difference. We'll sort of
Yeah.
think, oh, they're playing with children that they never normally play with, and look, they're doing that this week. And or we'll sometimes have amazing stories where teachers will say, oh, this particular child doesn't really speak in class, but actually when they're outside in nature, they don't stop, because they're so they're so excited, they're so stimulated by what's around them, that they have lots that they want to communicate. And so often the outdoor environment works very differently for some children, and can have a really big impact then on how they're able to operate when they're back in the classroom. So as I was saying, case studies can really draw out those kind of individual impacts that build up to that bigger picture of the whole class being supported, or the whole group being supported in their their confidence, their resilience, their general mental health, and their general physical health, and all those wonderful things that we all want for children. We all want children to be living lives which are full of experiences, that are building all those brilliant skills that we know they need later in life. And I really think that outdoor, slightly adventurous activities, connecting with nature, can really facilitate all those wonderful skills that we want, and experiences that we want children to have as they grow.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree, and I think that as a parent, every parent would like to give their children a lot of experiences, but there are so many people that cannot. It
Yeah.
might be like of their own experience and capabilities, like of money, disabilities and so forth. And it's great that then you will bring these experiences to the children who wouldn't get them otherwise, and that can be priceless for their
Mm,
development and future prospects.
mm,
Would you like to tell any like a case study? Do you
mm.
have something in mind that you would like to share?
Oh my goodness me. There are lots of sort of small ones that come to mind. I'm trying to think of one that would really kind of um, give a strong sense of kind of the impact that we have. I think one thing that I would say is that over time we have found more and more that our work is particularly supportive for SEND students and pupils. So those are special educational needs students. What we found is that nature is a great regulator. And so this means that children get to practice the skills of self-regulation, with nature kind of supporting that around them. And so I can definitely think of a couple of cases of children that we've had the absolute pleasure of working with over time, where they've come with us on weekly forest school sessions, and they've really built their confidence in the outdoors. They've been able to better connect with their peers, because they've had a bit more space and a bit more time around being able to build relationships. And those same children have then been brave enough to come on our camping residentials. And for those children, sometimes that is a very big deal. And so we'll do a lot of support work with the parents, a lot of support work with the class teacher, to make sure that we're really meeting their needs when they are away from home. And that might be around kind of thinking about food provision for them. It might be thinking about sleeping arrangements for them, and things that are going to give them that confidence. But the outcome of them taking part in something as monumental in their own life as being away from home for 3 nights or 4 nights, and camping, and being in huge wide open fields, or cooking on a fire, something like that, can really have that enormous impact on their confidence, their resilience. And often, we're seeing children up until the end of their primary school lives. We're primary specialists. So as they're finishing up their residentials with us, they're then heading off into their secondary school journey. And so we really kind of know that it's a key moment for them to be really cementing those resilient skills and those confidence skills, and take that with them into their secondary school lives. And actually, where our office space is on Newington Green, which is on a massive roundabout right in the heart of Islington, in the middle of a lovely park, it's right next to two schools who we've had a lot of involvement with over the years. And after school, often in the summer, those children pour out of those schools into the park, and they find our little office space, and they'll kind of knock on the door. It's 4 o'clock and we're all trying to finish our emails or whatever, and the children are banging on the window and they're asking to see George or Millie or Phoebe or whoever it's been in the team that they've met, because they want to continue the connection, they want to continue the chats.
Yeah.
And so that's always a moment of great pride for the team. I think that they feel that they have that real genuine connection with us, and we're an important part of their lives. So I know your question was about an individual case study, but it's really hard to
this is absolutely fantastic. And I believe, again, as a parent, that if your child has special needs, there are a lot of places that you cannot take them because there are organizations who are not prepared, and I think it's great to hear that you are, and you can cater these special needs, and it's not a burden, it's kind of part of your mission, and that's extremely valuable. And so good work, Amy. And the Garden Classroom, is a fantastic organization. So anybody listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube, I highly recommend checking out the Garden Classroom profile on whatimpact.com, but also you have a website, the Garden Classroom, and what's the
.org.uk.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you, Amy, so much for this little chat, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you. And thank you so much for today. Thank you.